I'm Dr. Simon Hull, a senior lecturer at the University of Cape Town's Division of Geomatics. Welcome to session 4 in the video series, An Introduction to Land Administration. In this session of 3 videos, we will be discussing tools and approaches for achieving effective land administration. We begin with the fit-for-purpose approach to land administration. This is not a new concept, but it has gained prominence in the last decade, most notably due to some publications by the International Federation of Surveyors, known as FIG, and the Global Land Tools Network, or GLTN. In the next video, I'll address the following 2 questions. What are the benefits and limitations of the fit-for-purpose approach to land administration? And would South Africa benefit from adopting a fit-for-purpose approach to land administration? So be sure to stay tuned for the next video. Without further ado, here is a brief summary of the fit-for-purpose approach to land administration. I'm going to begin with the word significance. In my own research, I identified significance as an important factor for ensuring the success and sustainability of land administration systems. This means that land administration systems should use tools and procedures and deliver outcomes that are relevant to the end users, that's the citizens and communities served by the system. A lack of significance may lead to the proposed system being abandoned by the would-be beneficiaries and a reversion to traditional, indigenous, extra-legal ways of doing things. This issue of significance is partly addressed through the fit-for-purpose approach to land administration. According to the FIG, fit-for-purpose land administration systems should be designed for the purpose of managing current land uses within a specific country or region, using an approach that is participatory, inclusive, flexible, and focused on citizens' needs. The approach is based on 7 elements, which are expanded into 12 principles that are grouped into 3 components. So let's begin with the 7 elements. The first one is flexibility. That's flexibility in spatial data capture approaches. Land surveyors, like myself, pride themselves in being able to measure things with centimeter or sub-centimeter precision. While this is necessary in some urban contexts where each square centimeter of land can be worth a lot of money, it is less important in contexts where land value is less economic and more social. In such contexts, boundaries need not be so precisely determined, and a variety of approaches may be used depending on the land use and the purpose of measuring the boundary. The second principle is inclusivity. That's inclusivity in the scope to cover all land tenure and all land. The fit-for-purpose approach seeks to recognize all tenure types along the continuum of land tenures. It is not focused on individual freehold or other formal land tenures alone, but seeks to accommodate the less formal and more social tenure types as well. The third element is participation or participatory in data capture and use to ensure community support. So this is where significance is ensured and where the state-led top-down and community-led bottom-up approaches meet in an environment of democratic land governance. The fit-for-purpose approach recognizes that community-level support for a program is better achieved if the community itself is included at all levels. From setting out the goals and objectives to data capture and information dissemination, participation is really important. Fourthly, the approach must be affordable for the government and citizens alike. On the government side, it should be affordable to set up and operate the land administration system. On the citizen and community side, it should be affordable for people to access the information that they need and to make use of the land administration system. Number 5, information captured and maintained in the land administration system should be reliable and up to date. There exists a tension between data capture or making data capture participatory while ensuring reliability of information. Trained professionals can be relied upon to capture spatial information that reflects the truth. They know how to use their instruments, and they understand the potential errors and how to avoid them. In a participatory approach where community members capture the information, training and oversight are essential for making sure that the information captured is reliable and meets the purpose for which it was captured. Number 6, the goals for fit-for-purpose land administration should be attainable, meaning that land administration system should be able to be established quickly with available resources, even if it's not perfect. Going hand in hand with that, number 7, is the land administration system should be upgradable incrementally in response to changing social and legal needs. The idea here is to begin simply with approaches and standards that fit the country's and people's needs at the time, that's attainability, and then to gradually make changes in response to those needs, that's the upgradability. So those were the 7 elements of the fit-for-purpose approach. And these are expanded into principles and applied to 3 interrelated core components, the spatial, legal, and institutional frameworks. The spatial framework is concerned with how land is occupied and used. The legal and regulatory framework is necessary to support the adoption and implementation of the fit-for-purpose approach. The institutional framework is required for effective management and administration of land rights and resources and the delivery of accessible and inclusive services. Each framework is supported by 4 related principles that I will explain to you now. The spatial framework is essentially a cadastre reimagined. Consider a hand-drawn map like the one that's shown, or maybe an aerial image that shows how land is divided into different plots for specific uses. The spatial framework provides the basis for realizing the land administration functions of recording and managing information on the tenure, value, use, and development of land. In the fit-for-purpose approach to land administration, the following 4 principles apply to the spatial framework. Firstly, general boundaries rather than fixed boundaries. In a market-based land administration system, plots are uniquely defined with precisely determined boundaries. These are assumed to remain unchanged until somebody subdivides a plot into 2 or more pieces, or joins 2 or more plots into one. Most formal urban and commercial rural plots are fixed in this manner. It's important to have precisely determined and strictly fixed boundaries in these contexts, but in most customary and informal settings, precise static boundaries may be neither necessary nor appropriate. In such contexts, general boundaries may be used. A general boundary may run from an outcrop of rock to a certain tree, up to the road, along the road to the cairn, and back to the outcrop of rock. This could then be sketched on a piece of paper, like in the image, or traced on an aerial photograph in a participatory process involving all affected parties. The precision with which the boundary is determined could be in the order of meters rather than centimeters as for the fixed boundary. The second principle is the use of aerial or satellite imagery rather than field surveys. To determine boundary position to centimeter precision requires the specialized skills of a professional land surveyor. While their fees are by far not the most expensive part of a building project, using aerial photography or high-resolution satellite images is much cheaper than field surveys. In South Africa, the Chief Directorate of National Geospatial Information, which is a branch of the Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development, they fly the entire country every 5 years, taking high-resolution aerial photographs. These are available for free to the public in digital form or for a small fee in hard copy to offset the cost of printing. Multiple plots may be demarcated on an aerial photograph quickly and effectively with community involvement. In the image, you can see an example of that taken from Mozambique, where community land rights were demarcated on a satellite photo. The third principle is accuracy for purpose. It's important to match the accuracy to the purpose. The standards of precision and accuracy by which spatial information is acquired and stored must relate to the intended purpose of acquiring that information. Fixed boundaries are accurate because they don't move, and they're usually precise because surveyors determine their position to within a few centimeters. General boundaries lack accuracy and precision because they can move under certain conditions and are only determined to within a few meters. Centimeter precision and definite accuracy are appropriate in expensive, densely settled urban areas and commercial farmland. Meter level precision and indefinite accuracy are appropriate for general boundaries on customary and semi-urban settlements. The last principle in the spatial framework is that of updating, upgrading, and improvement. The fit-for-purpose approach to land administration always relates the standards and procedures to the purpose. Hence, there is constant need for reflection, updating information, upgrading systems, and general improvement. It is not a once-off process. Updating includes recording new land transactions. If a property passes from one individual family to another through inheritance or sale, the land records need to be updated to reflect this change. Upgrading may mean improving the accuracy of the boundary demarcation in line with the user requirements. Improvement may mean linking the position of all plots to a national coordinate system, for example. In line with the 7 elements of the fit-for-purpose approach, these changes should be done with community support to ensure the improvements remain significant for the intended end users. Hence, flexibility, inclusivity, and participation are key concerns. The legal and regulatory framework also has 4 principles. The rights, restrictions, and responsibilities are defined within a legal and regulatory framework, and it is this legal side of the land administration system that spans the land policy through to the relevant land laws and other legislation that governs registration or recording of rights, land use, spatial planning, etc. The fit-for-purpose approach is to make this legal framework intentionally pro-poor, providing legal recognition and recording of all legitimate rights to land. To do this, governments need to adopt a legal framework that accommodates the flexibility inherent in a fit-for-purpose approach. Without such a legal framework, the approach may not be recognized as legitimate and will remain extra-legal with associated lack of tenure security for land rights holders. So again, the following 4 principles apply, and the first one is an administrative framework with a flexible approach. The recording and registering land rights should be an administrative responsibility because it fits our description of the role of land administration within a land administration system. Courts should be reserved for settling land-related disputes that cannot be settled administratively. Secondly, is the continuum of land tenure types. The inherited market-based land administration systems that predominate most post-colonial countries recognize tenures such as private ownership or formal leasehold alone, right on the right-hand side of the continuum. Customary, social, and other informal land tenures do not fit these formal land administration systems. A fit-for-purpose approach recognizes, records, and respects all the tenure types, and this requires an appropriate legal framework. Thirdly, we've got flexible recordation. Low-cost, local land recordation processes should be supported to work in parallel with the formal national land administration system, with the eventual aim of integrating them into one nationwide system. Training and guidance should be provided to local level authorities on how best to record land rights to facilitate eventual integration. The photo that you see is an example of local level land records. These 2 files were compiled by a chief in the Willowvale area of the former Transkei region of Eastern Cape. They record which families and their descendants live on certain plots under his jurisdiction. These records are by no means perfect. For example, a simple map or aerial photograph is lacking. But they show how local level initiatives could be supported and expanded to work alongside the national land administration system. Finally, for the legal and regulatory framework, we've got insurance of gender equity. Acknowledging that this is complicated due to entrenched cultural norms and power structures, the fit-for-purpose approach highlights that there are benefits to improving land rights for women and other marginalized groups. Such an approach also supports Sustainable Development Goal number 5, which is concerned with gender equity. Moving on to the institutional framework. Institutions administering land need to be accessible, capable, and sustainable. This might mean partnering with the private sector, civil society, and especially customary authorities for delivering effective land administration in developing countries. Again, 4 principles apply, the first being good land governance. Land governance may be described as good when it follows certain principles, for example, efficiency, effectiveness, endurance, transparency, accountability, equity, participation, security, integrity, and the rule of law. As we've seen in the governance videos, these principles are only acknowledged as good in certain cultures. This is not a universal idea. But adhering to these principles should improve the government's ability to administer land, removing bureaucratic barriers to development and combating corruption. Land administration institutions at all levels need to ensure that their processes conform as far as possible to these principles. Secondly, we've got integrated institutions. In South Africa, we have the specific problem of land and natural resource management taking place in different government departments and even within different branches of the same government department without any integration between them. This was highlighted as a concern, motivating the push towards an integrated land administration system. Likewise, government, academia, and civil society all operate independently on land-related issues. We refer to this as working in silos, and it is not an efficient way of doing business. It is far more efficient for information to be shared across departments and institutions in an integrated land administration system, which hopefully South Africa is moving towards. Thirdly, we have a flexible ICT approach. Land information systems support effective land administration and are in turn supported by information and communication technology. That's what ICT stands for. For a fit-for-purpose approach, these technologies should be based on context-appropriate solutions informed by user needs. For example, low data, low cost, simple apps for low-end smartphones. And there are several examples of technologies using this already under development. Concerns regarding sustainability and data privacy need to be addressed before any data can be collected. ICT should support integration and collaboration across institutions. Finally, transparency, accessibility, and affordability are very important for the fit-for-purpose approach. Subject to protection of privacy, land information should be freely available. Transparent land information is a key to ensuring tenure security. Thus, it should be possible for citizens to access land registry, land valuation, and land use information, and hence hold the government. Well, I hope that wasn't too much to take in. To remind you, the fit-for-purpose approach to land administration basically says that whatever processes, instruments, or procedures you use for securing land rights, they must match the context of the beneficiaries. In other words, they must be relevant or significant for them. They must fit the purpose. You don't use a paintbrush to paint the walls of your house. You use a roller. Likewise, you can't use a roller to paint a beautiful picture. You need a paintbrush. It sounds obvious, and really it is. But it has taken a concerted push from the FIG and GLTN to highlight this approach as being important for effective land administration. To remind you, the 7 elements of the fit-for-purpose approach are flexibility, inclusivity, participatory, affordability, reliability, attainability, and upgradability. These are captured in 3 frameworks, each with 4 guiding principles. The spatial framework considers the use of visible general boundaries, aerial imagery, standards of accuracy that fit the purpose, and the provision of constant updating, upgrading, and improvement. The legal framework aims for a flexible administrative approach, recognition of the full range of tenure types on the continuum, flexibility in recording land rights, and gender equity. The institutional framework is concerned with good land governance, integrated land administration, the use of flexible ICT approaches, and transparent, affordable, and accessible land information. In the next video, I will discuss with you the benefits and limitations of the fit-for-purpose approach and consider whether such an approach is appropriate for South Africa.